Thank you so much for tuning in today on the Women at the Front Line, and we can't wait to show you our guest today. And my name, as the host, is Joana Atukunda. I'm so happy to host an amazing lady today, and yes, I just can't wait for you people to listen to how far she has risen because I know she has a lot to tell us. And yes, we'll be hosting the one award-winning journalist, and she's none other than Lynn Komugisha. We are so happy to have you here on the Women at the Front Line. Thank you for rising through
Wow.
the hurdles and through everything. So we shall be listening from her journey in career, and then as she grew up to this career that many young ladies and girls out there are admiring. So that maybe they don't just stop on admiring, but we also learn a few or many more things from her. Thank you for joining us, Lynn. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Joan. And I'm very glad, I'm very honored to be here. It feels funny being on
I
the other
know.
side of the microphone, the other side of the camera. I am. I've been at it, and I'm trying. Just so you know, to remind myself that this is what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for rising through. It is only after you've risen through that you can be on the other side of the story
I,
now.
I I think so. Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
And
So
it's
we're so
it's
happy.
interesting to know that you think I have risen through. I'm still thinking I am on the journey, but I seem to have reached somewhere.
I think we ladies, women, we need to learn to applaud ourselves for the far we've gone. Like tap yourselves on the shoulder. You might not have risen to the international levels. Maybe you think you should, and you definitely will rise there.
Mm.
But I think we can tap you on the shoulder and say, "Well done, faithful servant."
Thank you,
Yes.
thank
So,
you, thank you.
just to start, would like to know who is Lynn? Who is Lynn
Ha ha
Komugisha?
ha
Yes.
ha. That's the most interesting question, and allow me. Most interviewers always want to ask that question, and it's the hardest question because you have, first of all, limited time to answer, to give a 360 version of yourself, but then you also don't know what exactly does the interviewer want.
Yeah.
Is it specific? So yeah, it's a very interesting question. And so Lynn Komugisha, as you've had, is I'm an award-winning journalist, multimedia journalist, and I have been in the media for the last. The other day I was calculating. I was like, my God, it's been quite a number of years. So I've been in the media for about close to 13, 14
Wow.
years now, because my background is my academic background is mass communication, media,
Okay.
really. So even before I finished university, I was right into the media. I was doing my internship within the confines of our university, that's Mukono, Uganda Christian University, Mukono. And we had studios. And so even before it was time for internship, I was already on radio. I was already on, voicing ads here and there. And so that has been so far briefly where I started. From there, I went into, of course, internship happened. I went into radio, Capital FM, FMJ, Kampala FM. Man, Spirit FM. I have lost count of some of the stations, but precisely what I'm trying to say is that my background is media, and so has my journey so far been. So I am a multimedia journalist, but I'm also a communications analyst and expert. This, as you get into the media, it hones you into different spaces and it takes you into different corners of the sphere. And so I find myself in media and communications, public relations, and international relations. And so that precisely describes who I am in terms of career. But I am a mother,
Oh.
very proud mother.
Oh,
I'm the only daughter of my parents. Of course, they got other daughters around, but I'm the only daughter and the firstborn.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm one of firsts, very many firsts, and so um, what else? I am I am a very people think I am interesting. I am an introvert, but on the first meeting, you think I am worse than that.
Interesting, interesting.
Yes. So
Okay.
on our first meeting, I'm like, does she even talk to anybody, or she's
Yeah.
until we start talking, and you're like,
Mm.
oh wow, she can talk.
Yeah.
So I'm an introvert, and the media space I have been in has tried to modify who I am,
Yeah.
and I've grown as the spaces around me, come and go.
Mm.
And as we speak currently, I was working with Vision Group
Okay.
as a multimedia journalist, but I left.
Okay.
I'm going into communications, public relations and communications. But most importantly, I also want to I want to study. Studying never stops.
Yeah,
You
it
keep
never.
improving yourself
Yeah,
day in, day
it
out. Because I
doesn't.
have other aspirations,
Yeah.
certainly, that at this particular moment
Mm.
I haven't dived into, that I'm going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if I've answered.
Yeah,
Like I
you really
said,
have,
like
because many times when we meet women that are rising in career,
mm,
and you ask them, who are you, they sort of leave the familiar aspect aside
mm,
and want to, like, front the career bit of it. But I like the fact that you are a proud mother,
yeah,
and when someone talks about where they come from, I am a firstborn or I am a secondborn, it brings a sense of love for family.
yes,
So that's another aspect that people need to know, that as these women are rising, yes, we are still in the month we are still celebrating women. So I think it is good to understand that the women that are in career are still family women, and they will rise through this, and they will still be
mm,
career women. So Lynn, that was really a nice one.
mm.
I love the fact that you bring all the things together: family, career, and
Because
yeah,
this is what builds you. I mean,
yeah,
you cannot be a career person without a support
yeah.
system, and most importantly, our support system is
It's
our
family. Yeah,
families.
when all is said and done,
Yes.
family is what holds us together.
Yeah.
So, what was it like growing up in terms of career aspirations? I understand you studied journalism, or what was called mass comm at
Mm,
UCU,
mm-hmm.
Uganda Christian University Mukono. But I know when we are growing up in high school, they ask us, "So, what do you want to
I
be?
know.
Do you want?" And then we're all thinking we want to be doctors,
Uh
because
huh.
at that time every parent wants a doctor,
A
an
lawyer.
engineer, a lawyer. So, what was it like for you growing up?
So my parents are teachers, both of them.
Yeah,
And so, when you have parents who are teachers, they demand so highly of you.
I am told children of teachers
Yeah.
are very bright, and then the sort of shaped in a certain
And
way. So tell us,
yeah,
yeah.
I want to believe so. Highly disciplined, I think.
Yes, highly disciplined.
Yeah. So my parents are very disciplinarian, if I could say,
Mm.
but they're also teachers. And for me, that is how, well, groomed most of my hobbies as I speak. Writing, reading, especially reading. I used to read almost literally everything,
Yeah.
even if I didn't understand it, like science and math
Yes.
things.
Mm.
Uh, of course, they would bring back books at home, and then they would find me reading, and they're like, "What are you even reading?" So they got me those little small books for children. So I
Amazing.
had thousands of books around me, and so I found myself reading a lot in these
Okay.
books,
Nice.
and it set me off on a career I had no idea about. I, I I go into primary school. I still love reading, writing. I remember I was very good at English and literature. I used to win the class in comprehensive. What was it called? Comprehensive. Um, writing.
Yeah.
I remember writing novels from the scratch because I was
Yeah.
reading too much, so I
Yeah.
knew what
Because
to
we had
do.
English composition, something.
English
Yes.
composition. So I did all that, and I used to be interested mostly in literature and English. Math was a hassle, but yeah, we had to find a way of getting around it. So my childhood was mostly about books, reading, into reading, a lot of reading. And I'm not telling it was focused because I just loved reading.
Yeah. Okay.
So in primary, I go on, finish P7 and go to O level. I'm still into reading. Yeah, literature, English, name it. I would do everything else, of course, the other subjects as well, but they were not as exciting for me
As the reading, as the English and
as the
literature.
English and literature. So, and at at O level, they ask you, what would you want to
Yes,
do, perhaps
yes.
in A level as you grow up? I'm like, at that moment, I was like, maybe a lawyer. I was like, I want to be a lawyer. So I'm talking to my mother about it, and she's like, a lawyer? You should be a teacher. Teacher, teachers are very proud
Yes.
of their profession, and they're so passionate about it that they want everybody
To be a
teacher. One day I have a conversation with my father, and he equally says, you should be a teacher. And I'm like, you guys, I'm not, I don't get it.
Like, we're not about to have 3 teachers in this house.
Well, I didn't think about it that way, but it must have crossed my mind. And so A level comes, and I do, I think Hell D, yes, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
History, economics, literature, and then divinity. And those were my favorite subjects. And I aced them, really. So during A levels, when they ask you, but before A level, actually, no, when I get into senior 5, I think I become a leader. I become the head girl of my school then. And the first question my father asks me is like, are you not going to waste time in leadership and these things? I'm like, in my heart, I'm like, this is exciting for me. I don't want to tell it to the world that it's exciting, but it was exciting.
It was exciting.
And so I'm like, no, I think I'll concentrate more. Like, anyway, okay, we shall see. My mom is like, yes, that's it.
She was equally excited for you.
Yeah. So it keeps me focused. Being head girl keeps me focused around that time. And I do well, of course, A level. But when you're going to apply for courses and what, they're asking you all these questions. And then the forms are in my face and I don't know what to feel. Yes. Because I was like, teacher, lawyer, maybe public administration, maybe social sciences. So all these things were in my head. And I couldn't figure out exactly where I belonged. Because it kept haunting. I was like, what can I do?
Yeah.
My colleagues, or rather my fellow students, would tell me, I think then you'd make a good leader. You should do public administration. Okay. You should. So there was all these sounds around me.
Yeah.
But there was a teacher, and I'll forever be grateful to this teacher. He was very approachable in school. So you'd reach out if you have any comment, question, you'd be very helpful. So one day he meets me on the compound. Hey, hi, Lynn, how are you? How is the job forms going? I'm like, by the way, I'm having this terrible time.
Yeah, decision making.
So what's on your mind? I tell him all these crazy ideas. He's like, but Lynn, honestly, to be honest with you, you're a good communicator. You speak and we listen. You're able to articulate things. You're able to, you have that public speaking prowess about you. I'm like, I do? I do? I didn't know.
Yeah.
He's like, no, seriously, you're good at English and literature. These are your strengths. Why don't you do mass communication? I'm like, okay. Wait, what is in mass communication? At that time, by the way, being in high school, you're in a different world.
Yes.
You think you know these things, but you actually don't. And I would really want for schools to invest in career guidance. Literal career guidance, not just talk about it.
Yes.
Because I knew all these courses. They were sounding very good. But I didn't know what was good for me and what was in the contents of the course. So he sits me down, tells me mass comm involves A, B, C, D, and Z. I'm like, but I like these things. Oh, I think so. So that's how I fill up law and mass communication. I think those were the ones I remember. And public administration. I think there's supposed to be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then UCU calls me for mass communication. Because of course I'd passed the obvious ones.
The obvious one.
And so I find myself in that space. But growing up, I remember I used to love the radio so much. I would fight with my brothers over. I loved the Capital Gang.
Yes.
And so I'd find my brothers, of course, loved the music. Me, I wanted to listen. I wanted to listen to those people. I remember back then, I think it was Robert Kamshana who was hosting it back then. And I would love to listen. I would sit literally not do anything. And I'm focusing on that. So we'd fight over the radio. Or you'd find me in my bedroom copying, what's her name? Patricia Okoed.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard about her. She used to be a news anchor on Capital FM.
Okay, I think I must have been very young then.
Obviously. So I loved the way she would, deliver her news. Not that I copied her, because I eventually became a news anchor. I picked on myself as like, I wanted to be my authentic self. I love how she sounds. I love how she delivers, but I want to be me.
Your authentic self, but being the the best as she is.
Yes, as good as she is. So I find myself in that space.
Oh, interesting. So I told us we are definitely learning from her journey, and for me, it speaks volumes that your parents were letting you to read, because currently we are fighting with the reading culture. But I love the fact that they let you read even things you did not understand, but they let you read. And now the interesting thing is they knew your strength in the reading and the love for literature and the English.
They knew I loved reading, so they fed my interest.
Yes,
and I think that was amazing.
That was really epic. And then now, talking about career guidance and this teacher identifying your strength. Oh my God, that was like someone taking a role that is like out of the usual, out of the norm, of the normal. Because I mean, this is a teacher who...
And let me shock you. He used to teach commerce and accounts. And he knew I had issues with those. So why actually he looked out for me was because I think he knew I was good elsewhere and not good at the math. And so he would constantly look out for me like, Lynn, but this is what I taught. And I was always curious. I really wanted to perform these other things better. But
of course you have to perform them to balance.
I know. And so he really looked out for me. And I'm not the only one. And there are very many other girls and that went through him. He helped, realize their potential. And for me, that was the most turning point for me. It was very, very important.
Amazing. I found so much strength in it for someone to tell you that actually, apart from the reading, and like they go beyond the academic performance and look at your strength as a person. She loves to talk. She loves to communicate. And I think this best suits her career. And of course, that definitely merges someone's natural strength and then what career or what the academics can add. And I think that's where we're having issues of people are studying, but we're not finding maybe a lot of what to do. But I think maybe we are failing to find a merger between our natural strength and the things that we do, because all these subjects are there to show us the way to where we're headed. So
absolutely,
yeah. And right now, I'd like, of course, you've talked about your childhood reading and all that. What were I would like you to tell us, like, just one or two, what are your best moments and memories growing up?
Those are many. I cannot. That's an entire book.
Like those epic. yeah, moments that were really, really
Oh
best.
my God, there's so many. Let me see if I can pick on one or two. I remember the most exciting bit for me was when I went to boarding school. That was in P3. You can't believe.
Okay.
P3. Yeah. Children of these days, you cannot take them to boarding school at that age. No.
They cry at senior one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At P3, I was in boarding school and I was excited.
You were excited.
Why not? I knew how to wash my clothes. I knew how to take care of myself. I knew why I was excited mostly is getting out of home.
Oh, yes. That is
Now
always
imagine at
it.
P3, I was excited at getting out of home. And this
It
my
was
parents
so
might not
young.
know. But I wanted to experience the books I was exposed to were giving me vibes of there's something bigger out there. So when I went to boarding school,
Yeah.
I was like, I think it is this. It is big. And let me tell you, the school had a bookstore and there were millions of books. And for me, that was exciting.
Wow.
Even when I went to A level, rather O level, in a different school, they still had a bookstore. I remember the man telling me, "But Lynn, are you not tired of these books? I feel like you've read the entire bookstore." I'm like, "I think so too." But for me, that moment of going to boarding school was the most exciting bit. Let me see what else.
Okay, this is
I know
I've
at P3,
at P3,
very
and
weird.
it's that exciting, and it is still exciting.
Yes.
Like it is still stuck in the memory.
Yes, it is. It was the. I think it can never leave my memory. And I think the other moment is I was going into A level senior 5, and so I'd been vacation, and I had grown my hair. It was so exciting growing hair because
Yes.
primary until O level you don't
Yes,
have hair.
yes, you don't have
So A
hair.
level, the school my father was interested in was like, it's okay to grow your hair. My goodness. So I struggled. My hair grew, my mom was supporting me, braiding it, doing all sorts of things with it. And so we had a day to go to school to senior 5. And so we had to go, I think we're going to town. I don't know to do what. So I'm so excited. I don't want to get they're called toots, right?
Bantu notes.
Fancy names. They're with tutu. Hey, you put with tutu in your hair.
Yeah, Bantu notes.
A bantu knots. Now they're fancy bantu knots. So I put them in. They were in, and so I'm all dressed and ready to go. And guess what? My father looks at me and says, "Madam, where do you think you're going with that hair?"
Oh my.
I'm like, I forgot to comb. Give me a minute. He's like, "No, I did not say you go and comb your hair. I said go cut it off."
Oh no.
I was like, "Daddy, what?"
You can't
I
be.
couldn't believe it, but I wasn't surprised. He likes people. He's like our president. He likes people natural. He likes them in their natural state. So
Yes.
keep your natural
I know
beauty.
that feeling. It happened to me.
Oh, it hurt. It hurt.
It hurts.
Hurt.
Yeah.
That day it hurt. I went crying. I was not amused. I could not talk to my dad for days. And my mom was like, "Don't worry, you'll grow it when you get to school." I'm like, "By the way, that's a nice one." So yeah, I think off cuff I could remember those, but there are quite a number.
Oh, okay. No, the boarding bit.
Yeah.
That was P3. Like you're so young.
Yeah.
And no, but I love the fact that you knew how to take care of
Yes.
yourself.
So you know how in boarding school, P3, there are matrons to wash your
Yeah,
stuff
to wash
for you.
at least P3 and below.
I did all that myself.
Amazing.
I didn't need anybody.
God bless your parents.
Indeed. Indeed.
God bless them. Yes, as for the hair, I can relate. I can
And
relate.
guess what? I've only started growing my hair. I used to cut it.
Okay, thing is that we get excited because we didn't have, and then after, like
You're
it's
like,
hair, it
not,
grows.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
Wow, that's already, yeah. For the boarding school, I am not about to recover from it. Okay, so yeah, we've talked about what your career. So what was your uh early years of career like? I mean, right now you have lost count and you've been used to this media thing and communication, but
Mm.
what was the early years like what were the early years like?
Yeah, I know I hinted on some of them,
Mm,
but the most important ones for
mm,
me, I think, and this also goes back to as it
mm,
can be as referred to as a memory of sorts,
mm,
one of those good memories in
mm,
regard to my career.
mm,
So I'm at UCU. We had a radio station. Spirit FM used to be at UCU before it moved to Namirembe. I don't
oh,
know where it is now. Um, so we used to have classes,
mm,
and so broadcast class, and they'll tell you go to you have a studio session.
okay.
So they pick on who wants to. I mean, who is interested. At campus, you're like, can pass. I can always practice when I get a job.
Mm,
But I was curious. I had several other, and I think we are still in the media, if I could remember. We're about three girls, and I think two other guys.
mm,
So we go into studio. They give us a topic to,
mm,
discuss.
mm,
And so we discuss and we discuss. An hour later,
mm.
the producer comes out and says, "You are very good
Yeah.
at what you do. Be it interviewing, be it discussing these matters, I'd like it.
Wow.
But most importantly, you're a good interviewer." I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" He's like, "It precisely means
Yeah.
that in future." And I've never forgotten that.
Wow.
Never. So every time I'm doing a show,
It rings.
it rings. And I make the best of it because
Wow.
I remember that statement.
Yeah, there's
And I'm
something
like,
about positive statements.
exactly.
Mm.
So so Spirit FM honed me, in fact, prepared me for
Mm.
what was awaiting me.
Mm.
And then we'd start internship. I went to Capital FM. I didn't go on air at Capital FM. I mostly sat in and saw what was going on,
Okay.
learned from the presenters, the producers. I
Mm.
remember voicing some ads and they're telling me, do this, do that. Then I got to New Vision.
Okay.
I went to New Vision for internship.
Okay.
And there I went to the newsroom. Not the radio and TV, no, the newsroom.
The newsroom.
It's a different story,
Okay.
totally different.
Okay.
I remember reaching the newsroom. The pressure was intense. I was like, no, I'm not made for this.
You
I
know,
cannot. I know I love writing.
Mm.
I can write,
Mm.
but no, I cannot.
Right about now.
No, I can't.
Mm.
I sat in, of course, for the internship period, did what
Mm.
I could do, but I knew I was not meant for the newsroom, for writing, especially articles and daily. You're all over the place looking for stories. I was like, no, the
No.
pressure is too much,
Mm.
and I feel I cannot be as productive as as expected. So what happened after internship there? I went back to university, and then that's the time I got into. Now I was started working. I had a year to graduate, but I started more like volunteering
Yeah.
at Kampala FM.
Okay.
Do you know it?
Mm.
It's now FMJ.
FMJ.
Have you heard about
No,
it?
I've not heard of
Ah.
FMJ.
So it was it's part of, I think, Top Radio, Top TV, those things around
okay.
there.
Mm.
It was one of those youthful.
Okay.
It was very famous back then. It has actually groomed many of the people you see in the media.
Many journalists.
Yeah, the many presenters and like.
Mm.
And so I was there volunteering for some months.
Mm.
And then, of course, final year is here, and then I need to concentrate a little bit at campus, and then I finish. Then the first job.
Okay.
I applied in every radio station in Kampala I could know. Nothing. Even TV stations, nothing.
Even those who knew you. Okay.
It
is
happens,
real.
man.
Yeah,
It happens.
It happens.
And that went on for some time. Because I remember we finished around May.
Mm.
Graduation was supposed to be in October. So that whole time, like, let me go home and be with my mom.
Mm.
So I'm home, and a friend reaches out and is like, Lynn, why don't you check out Vision Radio in Mbara?
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, bring your CV, bring whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
CV? You know, at that time you don't
Mm.
have a CV,
Yeah,
CV per
CV.
se.
You only have your academic documents,
You
which
have your
also
academic,
hasn't come
but
out
then you have to
official.
create one.
Mm.
Yeah, so I came up with one. I had demos, you know, I had demos, and so I took them there.
Mm.
And 2 weeks later, I have the job.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
At least I remember I listened to you.
You
Yes.
do.
I just used to love listening to the English news.
Eish, you
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
Eh, I'm
That was
old.
as like in high school
I'm
then.
old anyway. So at Vision, I become so they take me on as a presenter.
Mm.
I was doing the mid morning with some other guy, and apparently I sounded, I don't know. After now I don't know,
Mm.
but he said there was something. So he texts me, the boss, yeah,
Mm.
texts me from the mid morning to the evening drive. And I was like, but you're a bit too strong.
Mm.
There's something I'm
Something.
missing.
Mm.
So one day he went up and was like, how about you try news anchoring?
Mm.
I'm like, okay, it has. I used to do it for fun.
Mm.
It's not anything I paid attention to.
Yeah.
Takes me to production studio and gives me a script and
Mm.
says,
Read.
let's see what you have. So I go.
Mm.
I'm not going to say it was normal.
Mm.
It came naturally.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it.
This is it.
This
This is
is
the
it.
literature I've been reading all my life.
And for him,
Yeah.
for the boss, for
Mm.
me, it was like, but I enjoyed presenting. And
Mm.
it's like, don't worry, you can do both.
Yeah.
So I started news anchoring. But that
Mm.
is what actually set off my career.
Okay. Amazing.
I was a presenter. I still can be a presenter, but I think inherently I'm
Mm.
supposed to be a news anchor.
Yeah, I'd listen. The news at 9 p.m. read to you by Lynn Komugisha.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah.
So there I was, a news anchor, presenter at Vision Radio, that is in Bara.
Mm.
And that was really the kick start of my
Yeah.
career.
Amazing.
And I'm like, wow, this is what it means. So I get into news reporting, because you cannot be a news anchor unless you are a reporter as
Yeah.
well. The things I ran away from the newsroom at Vision,
Mm.
at Vision Group, found me in Mbara.
Okay.
But at least I had an idea what it was about. So I would gather news, sit down with editors, work on it, and then prepare the bulletin. And that's how I became a news anchor. But I was also doing the youth chat. Yes, the youth chat. Still on weekends. So I would host youth, talk about youth issues and youth matters.
I must have listened like
I think
3 or 4 times.
I think so. So for me, Mbara kick-started my journey. My career journey. I was there for some years. And then I moved to Kampala. The time I moved to Kampala, I didn't want to go back to the media. Yes.
Okay.
But interestingly, in Bar, I would pass here and they know me. Remember, I'm an introvert. I don't want everybody to, I don't want to be in people's face. I'm trying to be in my space. I love my space. But then hey, Lynn. I'm like, oh God, what do I do? So when I left Mbara to Kampala, I was like, I'm not going back to the media. So it's exposing me.
Yeah.
The media found me, came looking.
East West.
So I'm there. I get a call from a friend who was at Vision Group. And she's like, Madam, there's a news anchoring job here at XFM. I think you should give it a shot. I'm like, oh no.
Not again.
Not again. She's like, well, do you have an option? I'm like, no, I'm still looking. Okay, then just give it a shot. You never know. So I go. The rest, they say, is history. So 2 weeks later, they call me. I start work. It was not easy. Because now this is a bigger media house. And it's not anything compared to where I was down in Vision, in Mbara. It's big, the expectations are high, and you have a huge audience.
Which is also analytical.
And so it was very interesting for me. It was a very interesting, another shock in my career, actually. Because I get in there, I'm like, oh my God. I first took it for granted. I was like, this is normal, I can do this. But I know it needed me to re-equip myself, retool myself, reacquaint myself with the media circles and the media spaces. And I've been at XFM for the last close to 10 years now. Well, 9 thereabout. So I only left recently. So XFM, I'm there, and then I'm doing news. So the good thing, not both good and bad, is that when with these big media houses, you cannot be a news anchor and a presenter, which I was down in Barra on the same station. So the good thing here is that there was TV. They were like, why don't you try TV? I'm like, TV?
TV that you provided me?
No. But, like, just give it a shot. And like I said, I think there was, I groomed myself in a way that the minute I learned that I could do what I could do on radio before I got into TV, I kept honing the skill. So I kept making sure I'm informed. I kept
like you're doing your homework.
Exactly. And reminding myself that somebody is waiting to hear from you, and you've got to be the best version of yourself. So the first time I actually had issues, people were saying, I think you sound like somebody, or you want to sound like, I'm like, no, I am not going to sound like anybody. It is me. This is me. And I think that was I'm so proud of that. You know, and the challenge that media people have is that they want to sound like somebody.
The other people have maybe always looked up to.
It's okay. Look up to them.
But
okay?
Be authentic.
But can you be authentic? Who are you? The audience consumes habits. What you feed them is what they will consume. But can you feed them something authentic, something good, something of value? And if you do that, trust me, you will have the audience.
Wow, that's really amazing. And authenticity. It is it for me. So, so speaking of the media person that you've been, you've done quite well, and you've grown through the journey. So, what are some of the lessons you have learned in terms of the space of media so far? You've taken it like from God knows when you finished, like when you as soon as you realize it's best that you can do. What are some of the key lessons that you have learned in that space that you feel like any aspiring young woman out there would practically pick from you and say, if she could learn this and use it like this, I can also do it. I mean, it's not only your lessons, but our lessons as well. For everyone that wants to take on the challenge, for you in other spaces.
Sure. So the media space is one of the most challenging spaces, and people do not know this because they see you on TV, they hear you on radio, they think you've got it all
figured out.
Exactly. It's the most challenging in many ways, but most importantly, it's challenging in that it demands more of you. It demands more of you, and this I say with a lot of I don't know how to say it, but you find you do not have time for yourself. Media consumes you. Because if you notice, for example, if you have a news at the top of the hour, at most you need 30 minutes to prepare for it. That means you literally don't have time. You have a show. You need an hour to prepare for that show. How many shows do you have? How many top of the hour news do you have? You know, so you're literally in there
all the time.
But that for me was the biggest challenge, but it was also a learning point. In that period, I was like, I am giving myself while learning, because trust me, it's a learning journey all the way. Whether it is the news, whether it is the new faces you're interacting with as you interview them. Every day is a learning day for you. The new people, it, I no longer think I'm an introvert because
It has phased off
exactly because the space has reshaped me.
Yeah.
I get to meet many people, and you've got to be courteous. You've got to be
Interactive.
exactly. If
yeah.
you've got to get what you want from them,
Yeah.
and so it's demanding. It is also a learning point. You've got to be open-minded.
Yes.
Every morning, wake up and know I'm going to work. I'm going to meet new people. I'm going to read about new stories,
Yes.
things happening world over that are going to shock me and perhaps shock the audience. But I have a job to do. Deliver. How am I going to deliver this? I've got to be me. I've got to take away my personal feelings.
Yeah.
So why? And this takes me back to what I said. It is demanding.
It is demanding.
So things that would otherwise shock you, now you have to deliver the news. It's like delivering bad news to somebody.
Yeah.
First of all, you consume it.
You have to first deal with it at a personal level.
So that is, I think for me, it's the biggest challenge I have come. It's the biggest challenge. But if you're prepared for it, if you take yourself through the fact that it is what it is, because media is what it is.
Yes.
It is demanding and it is challenging. And you've got to equip yourself, you've got to retool yourself day in, day out. You cannot just sit and say, I'm a presenter. That's all.
The rest doesn't concern me.
Because, my goodness, you've got to. So, for example, you're going to interview. I've interviewed very many people, but I have lost count of how many times I've had to sit, learn who this person is, listen from other media people who've dealt with him or her, and what are they doing? What are their interests? Before I sit down with you, I want to know you. I don't need to meet you first. I need. Now we have internet.
Yeah, you can get
most people are on the internet, so it consumes you.
Yeah.
But now this actually answers, I think, why I'm on this other side. Because I think I reached a point I was like, no, I need to find myself again.
Okay.
I think I need I felt like I was
losing
in there. I loved it. Not to lie to you. I loved it because it was exposing me to different things. And yes, another thing, it exposes you.
Yeah.
So be ready to be exposed. Open your mind. Be exposed. But choose the good stuff. It can expose you to anything. Anything. And I'm telling you, anything.
And how you deal with what it exposes you to?
Exactly. In a nutshell.
Oh my God. I don't know. But and then, of course, when it comes to us, the women, it is even more challenging, I suppose.
We will need another hour for that.
Another hour to talk about the media, women in media. Yes, I think it's even more challenging at that point.
Very much.
And that brings me to my other question of yes, you've been through these pitfalls and then learned your lessons through. So what has been that one thing that has made you stand out? Like that anchor that you say, okay, after this, after that, and after I've learned my lessons, this definitely is what makes me stand out to get to the merit of where you are. Because I believe there's so many people in media there, and there's so many young ladies that want to, join the media, or even those that are already there, and then the challenges seem to be taking a toll on them. But I mean, we all in this to learn. Like you said, every day is a learning journey. Whatever the media exposes you to, how you deal with it is absolutely up to you. But also I understand that in this learning journey, there are people that have been there, like you, Lynn. So what has been that one thing that has given you the merit to stay composed, to go through this journey? Yeah.
I can only think about two things. One, my upbringing. Remember, my parents are quite disciplinarian.
Yeah.
In that, my mother would watch me and text me, Madam, why is your skirt very short? Why are you sitting badly for people? So I'm telling you
Yes.
what my background was, my
Yes.
growing up as a child.
Yes.
Disciplinary. My parents, so they shaped me in a way that a girl is supposed. So it's heavy on me that I carry myself a certain way.
Yeah.
I talk a certain way. I behave a certain way. And then I went to a boarding school for nuns.
Oh yes.
A Catholic school that
Those,
had nuns, and
yeah.
it was a single sex school. Nuns, you can imagine. So
From
my
disciplinarian home to
my grooming, first of all, has saved me a lot of things. People often tell me that I am a bit low, laid back. I should be out there and be as
as
aggressive
as the work that you're doing.
Exactly, but I don't have that in me. It was not part of my upbringing.
Yes.
I was taught you could actually get more by just being who you are. Just be calm about it, but be focused about it. Be smart about it. Don't be crazy about it. So that for me, I think has both shaped and saved me a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because in the media, I can assure you, it is crazy.
Yeah.
So most people would dread dealing with me or would fear dealing with me.
Okay.
And so that saved me a lot because you will not know until you talk to me.
Yeah.
But we have many characters that you will look at and be like, I want to talk to that person.
Yeah.
I want to, be all over the place with that person. I am not that person. I'm not giving you those vibes. You must qualify to be in my space, if I could use that. But it saved me a lot. The other thing is I chose to be me.
Okay.
Right from the word go.
Yeah.
I got on air the first time and there was this person who was inquisitive, who liked to know more about whatever it is we're talking about. And I was like, this is me. So I stuck to being me. And I think people had issues with it because even in my normal friendships, I am me. This is what you get. It is this that you're going to get. Okay. And so those two things kept me going. But I also knew that I am a firstborn.
Okay. Yeah. That comes with a lot of high sense of responsibility.
Exactly.
Yes.
I didn't know about that high sense of responsibility, but it came on.
Yeah.
Over the time.
That is automatic.
Exactly. It kept hitting. I'm like, wait, what? Me? Oh no, I've got to behave a certain way.
Being a firstborn makes you feel like your siblings are a whole world waiting on you.
Exactly. They say you're the deputy parent.
Yes.
So that also created a whole sense of responsibility at a young age for me. And my brothers I remember they would tell me, we want to speak English like Lynn.
Hey.
We want to write like Lynn. And, nobody was telling them to be like me, but they realized something about me.
And you couldn't afford to disappoint them.
Yes. And so I think this was another memory that crossed my mind. One day I'm on TV hosting some people, and then I think we took a break, and then I checked my phone. My brother sent a photo of himself watching me. I was like, how sweet can that be? Yeah. So a sense of responsibility, knowing that you are selling yourself,
and not just
and you're not selling just yourself. Everybody after you. And you've got to you cannot sell yourself short.
Yeah. And the wrong
And I'm
way.
not saying that I did not make mistakes. Of course, I made huge mistakes.
We are human, of course.
Yeah. But that kept me going. Reminding myself that, hello, madam, you've got
to be you.
Exactly. you got a standard you set, and you've got to work on it.
Yeah. Oh, that is. I think it takes back. It takes us back to the authenticity, knowing that yes, you have a whole world looking at you, but then when all is said and done, who are you?
Yeah.
This world is there to look at you, selling you, and so you've got to be on top of your game when it comes to holding your own pencil to write your story that other people are going to say about you. So I think for me that is so profound and quite amazing for anyone in this journey that puts you out there, that puts you out for the world to say, to judge you every day. Yeah, so I think it's quite.
I remember a point. Maybe I know we're winding up. I remember a time an HR reached out to me and said, "But Lynn, you're not in our faces." So they was trying to recruit some people for something, and they knew I could do it. But then they were asking, "But you're not in our faces."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to be in your face. My work has got to be in your face."
Yes.
That's all that matters for
the
me.
things that you do have to speak for themselves. So just before we wind up, I would like us to, she talked about being a parent. How has it been for you being out there in the media and then juggling the parenting and the profession? Yes. What lessons do you give to young women who are saying, oh my God, if I join that media house, I'm definitely losing it on parenting?
It's tough. It's tough, but it's doable. So you've got to know it is doable. And you know, this is a huge hindrance for the ladies and the women in media.
Yes.
So you will hear most women telling you, if I go into the family, then I will miss out on my career.
Yes.
If I go into career, then I'll miss out on this. Yes. Because women, we are wired. Patriarchal society puts us in a place where you have to literally think about other people more than you.
We're given choice, like choose between family or career.
And your career. Things have changed. You can, I won't say that it's not challenging. It's challenging. But if you have your goals set, if you know what you want to focus on, then trust me, you can do it.
Yeah.
However, for me, it has been interesting in a way because I look at I got my son a little bit when I was starting off my career. And then I was like, wait a minute. I am a mother and I have a career. How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
But interestingly, you've got to have a support system. Yeah. And for us as media people, the biggest thing is a support system. Because there is no way you're going to, first of all, my biggest part of my job, I've been waking up at 4 a.m. No, wait, 2 a.m. 2 a.m. I'm going to studio. I'm running up. So imagine you need a support system so that when you're rushing off to work, there's somebody taking care of your child.
Yes.
And support system, I don't mean maids. I'm sorry, but I have issues with maids.
Okay.
Have maybe a sister, if you have a relative, if you have somebody, have a support system. You know your support system. We all know our support systems. And we need them. And we need to appreciate them.
Yes.
So this is what actually builds most of these media personalities. Without a support system, I'm telling you, you can crash. Okay. Yeah, for me, I think that's what worked for me.
Yeah, and I think she talked about a supportive family earlier on, and it's something she holds so dear. And I'm glad it gets to like pay off when it comes to you advancing in your career.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we are. Sorry, we're going to be winding up this amazing show. I would have loved to have Lynn for like the next 2 hours and you listen to all the amazing stories. All the amazing stories. And so she's just going to tell us one thing that she desires to become in this field, maybe in the years to come. She talked about going back to school. Learning never stops. So what is like the one thing that you desire that maybe as I take on this journey, this is where I want to, I know as per now we're living in many of the aspirations that we had then when you were young, but now there must be that one thing
that hasn't happened
yet.
Yes.
So what is it?
I did talk about international relations, if you
Yes,
remember.
yes.
So I think before I retire, I look at myself as one of those international communicators. I want to be able to communicate, to bring together teams and different organizations and be able to give different governments and be their, communications person, maybe diplomacy at some point. It's because I love the international
Yes.
space, the global space,
Yeah.
and so for me, I think that's where I'm headed.
And you're absolutely heading there because
Yes.
I mean we're all aspiring to add a story or two on this global scene. I mean, why not? When I grow up, I want to be like you. So,
Yeah.
so it's been amazing hosting you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And do not forget that we are rising as women, and the campaign is She for She. Like we are rising as women. And on this frontline program, I was so happy to host Lynn Komugisha. She has won very many awards in this media journey.
Yeah.
And so watch the show, but you can also continue to read about her work in the media journey and feel free to reach out to her. Yes, she I mean media is here.
I'm on
Yes, technology
social
has
plan.
come.
Yeah.
Media has made everything easy. So go ahead, watch her. And you've been with me, your host for the Women on the Frontline. My name is Joana Atukunda. Catch you on the next show. Bye bye.